With iron fittings, as with every other part of the bag, the first protocol is to run through the measurements and the specs of your existing clubs. So identifying components, head and shaft components, length, loft lie, swing weight, and to map these through the set. Now this on its own can help explain why you might have shot gap distance issues between each club if they're inconsistent lofts, but also gives us a benchmark and a relevance to what you're currently playing with, to be able to say these are the results you're seeing with them when we capture data with them and why. So it gives us a start point, and then through discussing with you your game, any swing work you're working on, technique changes, what might be helping or even hindering you with that progress. So once we've got that benchmark, we get the data with your existing clubs, and really with irons, it's a balance of launch and spin in particular. We need the height on the flight on the irons to get the ball to land with some control. It's not just about distance like it might be with the driver. So there's a real kind of rounded performance that we're looking for out of the irons in particular. So whether a ball flight is too low and not stopping onto the green, or it's too high and flaring up into a bit of wind, these are all areas that we'd look at to whether you're optimizing performance for that part of the bag. So the key identifiers as we go through, we'll be looking at, initially we'd start looking at shaft weights, shaft types of shaft weights. So start with a head that's similar to your existing one. So we're only changing one performance characteristic at a time. Once we optimize that, we then get a true picture of where your ball flight is, because the timing is going to be as consistent as possible and your ball strike is going to be as good as possible. We can then get a picture of how much forgiveness do you need from the head, what sort of launch and spin profile and therefore base loft do we need from the head. What kind of head shape do you like? Head weights are another critical part with irons. Unlike woods, we'd be looking at length variables a lot more with irons, and to what actually suits someone's posture and ball striking ability. So when we're going longer than standard, lighter head weights are often a really key part. That can limit model options as well. So there are a few more aspects when it comes to irons that limit what can and can't be built, and what components, can be used to achieve the most optimal specs possible. So it's getting someone as comfortable as possible with the clubs they're using, looking forward to using them. You've got to look down at a club head and like what you see. Some players prefer a neater, more blade-like visual, and others prefer a thicker top line, which gives them confidence there's a bit more to hit the ball with. So you've got to blend all of those bits into the melting pot when looking at the head styles, but then also what's going to optimize the launch and spin and give that balance of good distance and a strong ball flight, but with control when the ball lands. Because ultimately with irons, we're looking for accuracy and consistency, as well as a little bit of distance. So head style, and whether it's a combo set or a set that you take all the way through from long iron down to pitch wedge, sometimes into gap wedge, these are all critical parts of the decision of maximising forgiveness with that control and performance through the set of irons. We'd then take that into wedges as well, length gaps, head styles, loft combinations to get the best balance of distances, and obviously shaft weights into the wedges too. You'd often go a little bit heavier into wedges, not always, but often. So it's getting that balance of control with getting the aesthetics, but also the experience and the consistency of shot as best as possible. So things like bounce also comes into it with wedges too. So all these aspects, there's so many details to go into. It's critical we get those really nailed down, because then from a build point of view, when we come to build on site, we've got a massive information to build to get everything as accurate as possible for you. And ultimately with irons, that then means consistent gapping, consistent ball flight, consistent distances, which hopefully leads to better scoring. So if you want to check out any of our other videos, any of the other content, feel free to look at our YouTube channel, subscribe, like, hit the bell button, and we hope to see you soon.